First story, by John Smith. It all started innocently enough in my quaint suburban neighborhood in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I had lived there for years, and it was the kind of place where everyone knew their neighbors. But one evening, as I was returning from work, something felt off. I couldn't put my finger on it, but a chill ran down my spine, making me glance nervously over my shoulder. The feeling of being watched lingered. It became a constant presence in my life, like an unwanted shadow. The paranoia crept in, and I began to notice a man in a dark trench coat and a fedora lurking around my house. He always kept a safe distance, making it impossible for me to confront him directly. The situation escalated quickly. I started noticing that the man was always present, no matter where I went. He was on the corner when I bought my morning coffee, standing across the street from my office, even waiting at the grocery store when I shopped for groceries. It was as if he knew my every move, my every routine. Fear gnawed at my sanity, and I decided to take matters into my own hands. I started documenting his appearances, snapping photos on my phone and jotting down details of his attire. His trench coat was frayed and his fedora had seen better days, but his face remained hidden in the shadows. One evening, as I was huddled in my living room, curtains drawn, I heard a soft tapping on my window. Slowly, I approached, and my heart raced as I saw a note pinned to the glass. It read, "I see you, John. You can't escape me." My breath caught in my throat. Panic welled up inside me as I realized the stalker was now communicating directly with me. My mind raced, and I decided it was time to involve the authorities. I shared my evidence with the local police, who promised to investigate the matter. But they could offer no immediate solutions. The nights grew sleepless, and my days became a relentless cycle of anxiety. I changed my locks, installed security cameras, and even considered moving to a different city. But nothing seemed to deter the relentless stalker. One fateful evening, I decided to confront him. Armed with a baseball bat, I waited in the shadows near my house. It wasn't long before he appeared, as always, cloaked in darkness. I stepped out, my heart pounding, and demanded to know his identity. He chuckled softly, a chilling sound that sent shivers down my spine. "You can't escape me, John," he whispered, and suddenly he was gone, melting into the night like a phantom. Terror gripped me like never before. My life had become a waking nightmare, and I had no idea how to break free from this torment. The stalker's taunts continued, growing bolder with each passing day. I wish I could say that this story has a resolution, a moment of triumph where I unmasked the stalker and put an end to my ordeal. But the truth is, as I sit here, recounting my tale, he still lurks in the shadows, a constant presence in my life, a menacing reminder that some horrors cannot be escaped. Second story, by Emily Turner. Portland, Oregon, is known for its eccentricity and vibrant art scene, but one summer, I found myself caught in a nightmare that would forever change the way I saw the city. It began with an anonymous letter left on my doorstep. The neatly written note expressed admiration for me and my work as a local artist. At first, I thought it was a kind gesture from a secret admirer. I even chuckled at the thought. Little did I know that this was just the beginning of a nightmare that would haunt me for months to come. The letters continued to arrive, each one more elaborate than the last. They were filled with praise for my art, my beauty, and even my daily routines. The anonymous admirer claimed to watch me from afar, observing my every move. The unsettling part was that the letters contained details about my life that no stranger should know. I confided in my friends and family, but they brushed it off as a harmless crush. They urged me not to worry and suggested I enjoy the flattery. But as the letters increased in frequency, their tone became increasingly possessive and disturbing. One evening, as I walked through Powell's books, I felt an unnerving presence. A man was following me, keeping a distance but never straying too far. I quickened my pace, my heart pounding in my chest. He wore a nondescript hoodie and sunglasses, which made it impossible to identify him. I approached a security guard, trying to act casual as I explained my concerns. But when we both turned to look, the man had vanished into the crowd. Fear washed over me like a tidal wave. It was clear that my anonymous admirer had escalated from letters to stalking me in person. I started to see him everywhere, at the local coffee shop, outside my art studio, and even near my apartment building. His presence became suffocating, and I felt like a caged animal. I filed a report with the police, but they could do little without concrete evidence of a crime. I changed my daily routine, constantly looking over my shoulder, and installed security cameras around my apartment. But the stalker always seemed one step ahead, slipping through the cracks of my defenses. Then, one night, I received a final letter, more menacing than the others. It read, "I'll always be with you, Emily. No matter where you go, you can't escape me." I knew I had to take drastic measures to protect myself. Desperation led me to hire a private investigator. He delved into the case with determination, and together, we uncovered the identity of my tormentor. It turned out to be a man I had briefly met at an art exhibition months ago. He had become obsessed with me, deluded by his twisted fantasies. With the evidence in hand, the police arrested him, and he was charged with stalking and harassment. It was a bittersweet victory, as I knew the scars of this ordeal would linger long after the legal proceedings had ended. My life in Portland would never be the same. The vibrant city I once loved had become a place tainted by fear and paranoia. My anonymous admirer had left a mark on me, a chilling reminder that sometimes, the darkness can lurk in the most unexpected corners of our lives. Third story, by James Mitchell. I was on a business trip to London, a city I had visited countless times before. The bustling streets and historic landmarks had always held a certain charm for me. But on this particular visit, London would reveal a side I had never encountered before. The conference had kept me busy during the day, leaving me with evenings to explore the city. On one such evening, I decided to take a leisurely stroll through the vibrant streets of Soho. The neon lights illuminated the night, casting colorful reflections on the wet pavement. As I wandered through the maze of alleys, I noticed a man in a long, dark coat and a fedora hat. At first, I thought nothing of it, as London was known for its eclectic fashion. But as I continued my walk, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being followed. I quickened my pace, my footsteps echoing through the narrow streets. Glancing over my shoulder, I saw the man still trailing behind me, his hat concealing his face in shadow. Panic surged within me, and I veered off the main road into a labyrinth of even darker alleys. The stalker persisted, his footsteps echoing mine. I ducked into a small pub, hoping to lose him in the crowd. I ordered a drink and tried to blend in with the locals, but I couldn't shake the feeling that the man was watching me from outside. After a tense hour inside the pub, I decided to make a run for it. I slipped out through the back door, my heart pounding in my chest. I dashed through the narrow alleys, desperately searching for an escape route. The stalker was relentless, always a step behind. I could hear his labored breathing, his footsteps growing closer with each passing moment. I rounded a corner and found myself in a dead-end alley, a cold brick wall blocking my way. Terrified and out of options, I turned to confront my pursuer. The man stepped into the dim light, his fedora pulled low over his eyes. I demanded to know why he was following me, but he remained silent. With a surge of adrenaline, I lunged at him, hoping to subdue him and finally discover his motives. But he was surprisingly agile, and our struggle sent us crashing to the ground. As we grappled in the darkness, I managed to knock off his hat. My blood ran cold as I gazed into his face. It was a face I recognized from the conference, a rival businessman who had always harbored a deep resentment for my success. His eyes burned with hatred, and it became clear that his obsession had driven him to madness. I managed to break free and fled the alley, leaving my deranged stalker behind. I reported the incident to the police, and they arrested the man, charging him with harassment and assault. It was a harrowing experience that shattered my sense of safety in the city I had once considered a second home. London had shown me a dark underbelly that night, a side of the city I would never forget. The streets I had once admired now held a sinister presence, a reminder that even in the most familiar places, danger could lurk around every corner. Fourth Story, by Sarah Turner. The dense, ancient forests of the Pacific Northwest had always fascinated me, and I convinced a group of friends to embark on a camping trip deep into the wilderness of Olympic National Park in Washington. Little did we know that this adventure would take us on a harrowing journey we would never forget. Our group consisted of 5 close friends: Tom, Lisa, Mike, Amy, and myself. We had packed our gear and set out on a sunny weekend morning, excited for a few days of nature and relaxation. We arrived at our chosen campsite, a remote spot nestled near a pristine river. The isolation was exactly what we had hoped for, a break from the noise and chaos of everyday life. The first day was idyllic, spent hiking, swimming, and enjoying the serene surroundings. But as night fell and we gathered around the campfire, we began to hear strange noises in the distance. At first, we brushed them off as the sounds of nocturnal creatures, owls hooting and leaves rustling in the wind. However, as the night deepened, the noises grew closer and more unsettling. It was as if something was moving in the shadows beyond the glow of our campfire. The unease in our group was palpable, and we huddled together, nervously whispering about the eerie sounds. Then we heard it. A low, guttural growl that sent shivers down our spines. Our flashlights scanned the surrounding forest, revealing nothing but trees and darkness. Panic set in, and we decided to pack up and leave, convinced that we were being watched by something or someone. As we stumbled through the forest, our flashlights cutting through the blackness, the feeling of being pursued intensified. Twigs snapped behind us, and eerie whispers echoed through the trees. The sense of dread was overwhelming, and we quickened our pace. After what felt like hours of relentless pursuit, we stumbled upon a small, dilapidated cabin hidden deep in the woods. Desperation led us to seek refuge within its decaying walls, and we barricaded ourselves inside. The night was endless, filled with the sound of footsteps circling the cabin and eerie murmurs that seemed to come from all directions. Fear gnawed at our sanity, and we clung to each other for comfort. As dawn broke, the noises finally ceased, and we cautiously emerged from our hiding place. There was no sign of our tormentor, no trace of the ominous presence that had haunted us throughout the night. We made our way back to civilization, shaken and traumatized by our ordeal. The forest we had once admired now held a sinister secret, a presence that we could never fully explain. Our camping trip had become a nightmare, a chilling reminder that sometimes the wilderness can be a place of darkness and danger. Fifth Story by Lauren Anderson. Living in the romantic and historic city of Paris had always been a dream come true for me. But that dream turned into a nightmare when I became the target of a relentless stalker, and the city's enchantment gave way to an atmosphere of paranoia. It all began innocently enough with an online forum for photography enthusiasts. I had joined the community to share my passion for capturing the beauty of Paris through my lens. That's when I encountered Alex, a fellow photographer whose interest in my work quickly escalated into something more sinister. At first, I received compliments on my photos and friendly messages, which I welcomed. But as our interactions continued, Alex's tone grew increasingly possessive. He started questioning my whereabouts, demanding my attention, and commenting on every aspect of my life. It was as if he had woven himself into the fabric of my daily existence. The turning point came when Alex discovered my real name and location. He began sending me messages with unnerving accuracy about my daily activities. He knew when and where I went for coffee, the routes I took to work, and even the names of my friends. It was as if he had become an omnipresent force in my life. As the harassment escalated, I decided to block him on the forum and all my social media accounts. But it was too late. Alex began creating new profiles, using different aliases to continue his relentless pursuit. He sent me disturbing emails, filled with graphic threats and vivid descriptions of the harm he wanted to inflict. The situation reached its climax when Alex somehow tracked down my home address. One evening, as I was returning from a friend's house, I saw him waiting outside my building. Panic surged through me as I realized that he had crossed the line from the digital world into the real one. With trembling hands, I called the police and reported the stalking. They arrived quickly and apprehended Alex, who was lurking nearby. He was charged with harassment and trespassing, and a restraining order was issued against him. The nightmare was far from over, though. Even as he faced legal consequences, Alex continued to send me disturbing messages from behind bars, vowing to find me once he was released. I lived in constant fear, always looking over my shoulder as I walked the streets of Paris. Paris, once a city of enchantment, had become a city of dread and paranoia for me. I had no choice but to change my identity, move to a new neighborhood, and rebuild my life from scratch. The scars of that ordeal would forever taint my love for the City of Lights, a stark reminder that danger could lurk in even the most beautiful and beloved places. Thank you for sticking with us through the whole video. Also, I recommend you this video you see on screen, one of the scariest on my channel. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. This helps me bring you more thrilling content every day. If this video sent shivers down your spine, let me know in the comments.